to some clinical situation where we need to use the injectable drug like Cangrelor. And I would like to even compliment MSN Pharma for getting this molecule, and we are already using this molecule. So let me just start this session to give you some of the important point why we need Cangrelor or the injectable P2Y2. When you talk about the DAPT as a preloading before the PCI, whether it is a STEMI or even otherwise, or what is called as ACS or NSTEMI, however, whatever may be the situation, if it is STEMI or NSTEMI, we load the patient with a DAPT. But loading of DAPT done with the idea that the platelet inhibition in the circulation occurs faster, because one APT alone is not enough. And this has been realized a long time back that to inhibit the platelet action, we need a two drug. And that's what dual antiplatelet therapy as a preloading is a norm in every procedure, or more so in STEMI and NSTEMI situation. However, as this author has rightly put many years ago, which looks very impressive, what is meaning that when you're saying DAPT preloading, it is not in the circulation. That means the effect in the circulation, in the sense the DAPT hasn't come in the circulation in that desired time, but it is still in the stomach. Just to highlight that the preloading has a limitation, because preloading means it goes through our whatever oral route, goes into the stomach, get absorbed, and then getting into the circulation, which takes time. All this takes time. However potent drug we use, this takes time, though the earlier molecule, clopidogrel, longer period, then little less with prasugrel, ticagrelor, but still there is a delay as against a drug which is given directly in circulation. So this particular slide highlights that whatever DAPT preload we give, the preloading in the circulation, not in the circulation to the extent where platelet inhibition we want. Ultimately, we must remember when you're doing PCI, good platelet inhibition is required to prevent one, acute, the ischemia, and second, also to prevent acute stent thrombosis or stent related issues we don't want. And that is why fundamentally, this is a point we must remember, that there is a limitation of oral pre-treatment, particularly in a STEMI situation, because STEMI situation, we don't have too much of time because we want to open the artery as early as possible. All of us know that in the STEMI, earlier you intervene, earlier the door to balloon time, and also the earlier the pharmacotherapy of platelet inhibition, the result is better and the complication of the procedure is less, etc. So oral treatment in STEMI as limitation, as put up by this particular, the author, in the Journal of Invasive Cardiology, long time back, about 5-6 years ago. So I want to stress here again that injectable is required to get the maximum the platelet inhibition in time. So now, if you have to see all the preloading trial, right from very early part, 2002 or so, to the current later the trial, as shown in this particular this slide, like Credo trial using clopidogrel, which is both the stable patient as well as the ACS patient. Whereas if you see the Prague 8, again the stable and the ACS patient. Whereas here, everything is ACS cost using prasugrel with a loading, different loading, like 300 milligram here, 600 milligram, thinking that higher the loading dose possibly may make platelet inhibition more better, quicker, and things like that. But it has been shown that whether it is preloaded or no preloaded, like as you see here, no preloading and this is a preloading, there is no significant difference in the event rate. As a matter of fact, the bleeding also is not significantly different, suggesting us that the whatever method of using preloading, with the idea that 300, 600 will be superior to 300, etc., is, one thing which we have to always, reconsider. So also we know that prasugrel is never preloaded drug. It is always given after knowing the anatomy. But again, after knowing the anatomy, the drug is going to take some time, that even if you have to use prasugrel here, we can't get the inhibition in 30 minutes or in 1 hour what we want. And therefore, again, we have a limitation of this drug, when you're doing a very urgent acute procedure, which is also a high complex procedure and also increased chances of, the thrombosis or the complication related to the thrombus migration, no flow, etc. Also, we must remember that there are definite issues of oral drugs. We know that in general, when you won't like to give oral drug in situation like mechanical ventilation, patient is vomiting, he cannot be taking orally, cardiogenic shock, whether the drug will be absorbed properly, whether it will reach the platelet inhibition, we are not clear. Heavy sedation, therapeutic hypothermia, these are the few of the situations where P2Y2 issues, oral drugs have its limitation. As against that, in this situation, if you've got a parenteral like what we are talking today, Cangrelor, or just give one bolus and then a drip, maybe for an hour or two, this entire the thing will be easily, taken care of. Now, this also the study, as I said in the earlier slide, right from 2000 till the later all these studies, if you see here, like here, it is almost in 2000, both in ACS and in the STEMI situation. The above one is ACS, below is the STEMI. Now, pre-treatment with the antiplatelet drug in invasively managed patient with a CAD, and that is coronary artery disease, and the time from hospital admission or a first medical contact to coronary angiography in various studies. If you see here, it is almost 6 days. If you see here, a cost is 4 hours. So there is still a time gap, good degree of time gap. So also, if you see in the STEMI situation, you see here PCI clarity, which is almost in 2005, 2004. And if you see the Atlant, which is 48 minutes. In the sense, the point is that we have still some time delay from the first medical contact or hospital admission to the angiography, and then, the getting the better result of intervention. So P2Y2 pre-treatment, with all this study and all the data available, older trial, PCI Cure and Credo, no clear-cut edge of, the giving, this type of, therapy. And it was an intuitive that thinking that maybe by giving higher dose or giving them, the more dose of clopidogrel, possibly, the inhibition will be better. Therefore, 600 may be better than 300 is, something was an intuitive, but it's not a conclusive again, because we don't know whether 600 really bridges the gap of that platelet inhibition requirement. If you see in current OCC7 PCI trial, the trial where PCI 600 milligram, of the clopidogrel reduced 14% MACE, whereas the stent thrombosis. So there are something to suggest that possibly loading higher may initially reduce and these things, but at the same time, the bleeding and the other part also we have to look into. Whereas the ACOST using prasugrel is a trial was neutral, but prasugrel acts faster and is more potent, but unfortunately it has to be used after the anatomy is known, not before. And once we know the anatomy, we want quicker action. And I don't think, this also can occur within 1 hour, 2 hours, even the 75–80% platelet inhibition may take at least couple of hours in this situation. Now, if you have to see the ticagrelor and prasugrel, the pharmacodynamics in STEMI patient, and there are, by verify now, the PRU, there's a platelet reactive unit has been, measured right from 0 hour to 1, 2, 6, 24 hours and 5 days post-randomization in 55 STEMI patient, standard dose, and how much is the percentage inhibition. Like we know that PRU 208, 230, which is more or less, what we generally like to be the level what we want. The higher platelet reactivity will have, more procedural problem. And if you've got a PRU less, like if you see a delayed peak effect at the end of 6 hours, will have more bleeding like that also. So basically at this point, when you got a door to balloon time of 1 hour, there is no intra-procedural effect, whether seen as studied by the PRU, again suggesting that we need a proper the time period for the platelet reactivity to they come to the level what we want. This also shows the same thing, kinetics of platelet inhibition over time in STEMI with the prasugrel and ticagrelor. The one which is this one is the ticagrelor and this is the prasugrel. And there is always a residual platelet reactivity by assessed by the platelet reactivity unit, and that again will make the procedure the sort of the stent thrombosis etc will be more once you got higher residual platelet reactivity. So if that is so, whatever I mentioned so far are the situation which are the problem in our real world practice, and this is nothing hypothetical, but this is what we are getting in our day-to-day practice. Now then, if a patient who needs a sort of P2Y2, and we are not getting the exact the effect of P2Y2 inhibition to the desired level, even after receiving prasugrel ticagrelor. So we need to for example bridge this gap of getting the right intervention, and therefore many times we sort of try to use early administration of the drug. But early administration, as early as possible, is used. As I showed in the study, there is still some gap exists, maybe 40 minutes, maybe 1 hour, etc., which is not desirable. And secondly, high loading may have, it is not conclusively proven that the high loading will take care of the platelet inhibition, and it may probably give us to more bleeding, etc., because we have to see the efficacy versus the safety. Then the crushing, like, ticagrelor is one tablet which we crush and give, thinking that it will act faster than the oral therapy. But that also is, is done as a part of all these methods are done to see that you get a better result. But now since IV therapies are available, like, the glycoprotein, inhibitor, and then the cangrelor, probably this whatever gap between the, this whatever we talk about the platelet reactivity and getting the platelet inhibition early, it can be taken care of. So that is why we need the cangrelor, a parenteral or a injectable P2Y2. So the need of the hour with all the good things about the oral P2Y2, there are limitations in some situations, as I said in my presentation. So cangrelor or the parenteral P2Y2 inhibitor, is need of the hour because it's a novel intravenous agent, and it is an adenosine triphosphate analog selectively and reversibly blocking P2Y2 receptor mediated platelet activation. As you all know, the platelet gets activated by the P2Y2 receptor, and then it works at the very beginning in the early stage of the pathology. Cangrelor administered as an IV bolus followed by a continuous infusion offers a rapid and reversible inhibition of platelet function. Very, very important. It is not just the rapid, but also reversibly. It's reversible immediately because of the rapid onset of action in 2 minutes and offset of action in 60 minutes. So in 60 minutes, the effect is gone. In 2 minutes, the effect starts. No dose adjustment in patient with renal or hepatic impairment, highly bioavailable, no drug-drug interaction, as there is no metabolism of the drug. So this is the sort of slide showing what is the pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic of cangrelor, which you see the IV sort of bolus, like 30 microgram per kg, then 4 microgram per infusion, and see the plasma concentration. And then, it is the plasma concentration almost, is nil. Platelet activity in the beginning is totally down. And then, platelet activity starts coming within like a recovery time, 60 minutes is back to normal. Again, giving us a very clear-cut answer to this particular medical problem, what we're dealing with. So now this is the most important slide. I would like to more or less, it summarizes few of the important points why we need a parenteral P2Y2. Like if you see here the pharmacological properties of P2Y2 receptor antagonist, You have got clopidogrel, prasugrel, ticagrelor, and then you have got cangrelor. We know that both the clopidogrel and prasugrel are prodrugs because there's a two-step pathway in the intestine, the liver, and then the drug gets active metabolite. Unlike the ticagrelor, which has got only one like intestinal one, there is no this one. So we have got they are the direct ones. Whereas in case of cangrelor, it is again directly injectable, not even the intestine. It bypasses the intestine because a parenteral drug straight away into the intravenous. So if you see this, what are the advantages we get here? Like with the cangrelor, the onset of action is within 2 minutes and the half-life is 3 to 6 minutes. Same ticagrelor, 30 minutes to 4 hour onset of action, and the half-life is 8 to 12 hours. And if you look at the prasugrel, the onset is 30 minutes to 4 hour, and the half-life is about 30 to 60 minutes. And if you look at the clopidogrel again, the 2 to 8 hour is the onset of action, and the half-life is about the 30 minutes. This is because they are the active metabolite we are talking about, not the pro-drug, but the active metabolite half-life is less. So clearly telling us that the cangrelor, as shown here, has got it is not a pro-drug. It's like half-life is 3 to 6 minutes. It is the binding site is undetermined, and it is intravenous dose. Just a bolus plus one drip. 2 minutes is the onset of action. 60 minutes is the offset of action. And there is no CYP system metabolism. And the drug is recommended in ACS by various guidelines, which Dr. VT Shah is going to explain real place of the cangrelor in various clinical situations like acute coronary syndrome, bridging therapy, combination of DAPT with the P2Y2. DAPT means APT plus the cangrelor, etc. Also, if you have to see the glycoprotein inhibitor like GP2B3A, if you have to look into the cangrelor versus these two, there are key differences in the pharmacokinetic and the pharmacodynamic. If you see here with the GPA, the fast onset of action minutes, cangrelor also in less than 2 minutes. We showed that. Potent platelet inhibitions are there in both. Rapid offset is less than 1 hour. Yeah, rapid offset. Again, you see here again, rapid offset is positive, which is not there. CK differently, not. It is this CK differently. P2Y2 specific natural bridge target inhibition like this again is seen with the cangrelor, suggesting that cangrelor scores over GPI in all these offsetting CK differently and the P2Y2 specific targets, like a natural bridge, targeted inhibition, etc. Recommended dose is 30 microgram per kg IV bolus, immediately followed by 4 microgram per kg IV infusion. This is a step 1. This is a step 2. The detail Dr. VT Shah is going to adjust, going to mention during this talk. And it is elderly patient dose adjustment is not required, and both liver and the renal there is no need to adjust the dosage. So just to summarize what from my particular presentation, I would like to mention that there is a need of the parenteral P2Y2 therapy because of the limitation of P2Y2 DAPT orally. Now, once you are given a cangrelor infusion, how to take care with a oral therapy, that is administering the oral P2Y2 receptor after the therapy infusion is over, whether you would like to use clopidogrel, prasugrel, or ticagrelor to maintain the platelet inhibition. Mind you, we are buying time with the IV because that is the time what we want maximum platelet inhibition. Within 1 to 2 hours, we want the peak action of the drug, and it has taken action, stent is put inside, and now we want to maintain the platelet inhibition. By that time, oral therapy is going to work. Now, if you have to use ticagrelor, we can administer during infusion or immediately after discontinue the infusion. But with the clopidogrel and the prasugrel, both should be administered, loaded after the infusion is over. This is important because it won't work there because there is already the cangrelor is is in the P2Y2 receptor already. They are binding to the receptor, so it won't be effective. So importantly, ticagrelor can be loaded during infusion, whereas clopidogrel and prasugrel should be done afterwards. Of course, special population, renal impairment dosage is not required, hepatic dosage is not required. With this, I would like to end my presentation. And now Dr. V.T. Shah is going to talk further about our this particular, the continuation of our the topic. And then we will have whatever questions to be discussed. All the delegates, I would request to put in the chat box, or maybe they can put to in the discussion. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. V.T. Shah.
Sir, you are on mute mode, sir. You need to unmute, sir, please.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Yeah, it is audible.
So, good evening, friends, and thanks to MSN for giving this opportunity. And thanks, Dr. Sadanand Shetty, for leading the foundation of this session. So, you heard from him about P2Y12 inhibition, both oral forms and the intravenous forms. So, let me see whether... 1 minute. One is the laser pointer. Yeah. So this is the most important slide which you should know about, will make the understanding easy as to what he has spoken and what I am going to talk about. So we all know this platelet activation, various mechanisms and the various drugs which act upon some of these mechanisms. So we said single antiplatelet by and large is aspirin, which is thromboxane A2 inhibitor, and that is how it is. Then we have the ADP, which we are talking about, the P2Y12 inhibition. Now here again we have two types, okay? So one is the indirect, that's ciclopiridine, clopidogrel, and prasugrel. Mind well, the whole concept of P2Y12 came in with the use of ticlopidine before clopidogrel was introduced. In fact, in the early 90s, when the concept of dual antiplatelet came in, we had started using aspirin and ticlopidine. Then somewhere in 2000, we had clopidogrel introduced. And then 2010 around prasugrel, then came Tika, and now we have Cangrelor. So these two are reversible. Clopidogrel, prasugrel are irreversible. So you have to remember two things. One is onset and the other is offset of the action. So clopidogrel, prasugrel will take 5 to 7 days for its antiplatelet effect to wear off. Tika will take 3 to 5, and of course you heard Cangrelor taking hardly 60 minutes. So this is P2Y12. And all these mechanisms over here, antiplatelet go through the 2B3 antagonist. That is the glycoprotein 2B3 receptors, and that we have the antagonist. So when you block the action over here, all these mechanisms are blocked. So aspirin or P2Y12, and these are blocked. And you have this common pathway. So the bleeding here is more than when you block this. So you have to remember that between the two intravenous forms, Cangrelor and GPI, this will give more bleeding because it is more potent, where this is less. So when this IV form was not available and we wanted to give a potent antiplatelet immediately with a chest pain patient, or you want to take him on the table, hemodynamically unstable, we used to give 2B3 antagonist to this patient, or cardiogenic shock patient where you want faster action. Now, of course, you have Cangrelor, and in such kind of cardiogenic shock patients, we can use this drug. Now, you heard about the PD and the PK of the cangrelor and the other various the various points on them. I'll take you through some of the studies as to how the molecule was studied and then what inferences were made, and then we tried to put this into practice. Where would be the indications to use this? Now, we all heard about the oral drugs, about clopidogrel and prasugrel, and I said they are prodrugs, therefore will take some time, and therefore these prodrugs are dependent upon certain enzymes and certain processes to be active. At the same time, the clopidogrel has some interactions with other drugs, which will make it more prone to bleeding or less efficacious. You know, the use of NSAIDs or antidepressants, those which block the CYP450 enzymes, they will increase the chances of bleeding, whereas PPI and other drugs might decrease the efficacy of clopidogrel. So there are so many variations, whereas when you use the intravenous form, it is direct. Now, so let's go through this. Now, these were the champion trials. You know, they were known as champion trials, and there were three: the PCI, the platform, and the Phoenix. So basically, we were trying to study what should be the regimen to get the maximum benefit. You heard from Dr. Shetty that preloading with this drug. So initially we thought, let us bridge this gap of 2 to 4 hours with clopidogrel, or 2 to 6 hours with clopidogrel, or 2 to 4 hours with Tika and Prasu by preloading them. Of course, in a STEMI situation where you want revascularization by PCI at the fastest, there is no question of waiting. You have to see that the P2Y12 inhibition is on board, right, as soon as you put in a stent. Whereas in an NSTEMI situation, you may get time, but that will all depend upon the chest pain status, the cardiogenic shock, the arrhythmias, the heart failure complications are there or not. So when you want faster action and reliable action, you require such kind of drug which will give. Now the question was when and how to give along with the oral forms. So all these studies were done, the champion series, the Phoenix PCI platform. So there are two things which we wanted to know. One is that what should be the ideal time of the oral drugs when you use this intravenous form, so that intraprocedural stent thrombosis and acute stent thrombosis or subacute stent thrombosis are less. That is the whole idea. And therefore, re-MIs and re-interventions, like if getting an MI again after 2 days or 3 days, 7 days, should be less. So these are the various studies. I would not go more into detail into this, but suffice to say that aspirin was always there. Then either cangrelor bolus infusion was given or clopidogrel was given. Along, if clopidogrel was given, it was given with an placebo infusion, and cangrelor was given with a placebo clopidogrel. And then, of course, at the end of 2 hours, the clopidogrel was given to the cangrelor patients. So this was in the Phoenix trial, a very large trial of more than 10,000 patients. Intervention trial, 10,000 patients, okay? All subgroups were there, but ACS was the predominant one. Champion PCI was actually prior to that Phoenix, which was around 8,000, and champion platform was around 5,000. So this had no STEMI patients here. This had some STEMI patients over here. So in champion PCI, clopidogrel was given before PCI, right? And was found that it should not be given before PCI, because then the antiplatelet action of cangrelor and clopidogrel they overlap, and therefore it is not as effective. And then came the concept that clopidogrel should be given at the end of cangrelor infusion. So, okay. So now, if you see, this is the Phoenix, following which the US FDA gave the permission to use cangrelor in ACS situation. So this is the trial which was successful. And if you see here that there was a significant reduction in death, MI, ischemia-driven revascularization, and stent thrombosis. So there was a significant reduction in that. And if you take within 48 hours, stent thrombosis was less, you see here. Then, of course, even the MI rates, if you see here, were less. So basically, it says that if you have faster P2Y12 action, the chances of stent thrombosis and the size of myocardial infarct. So the faster you get P2Y12 on board, antiplatelet action, I believe the microcirculation gets cleared off all the platelet plugs, and therefore the amount of ischemia possibly is less. And that is what was seen in this trial. Now, if you see here that this is the sub-analysis, cangrelor versus clopidogrel, that within the first 2 hours, the event rate were less with cangrelor. So this is all following intra-procedural stent thrombosis and recurrent MI. And then, of course, you give 600 milligram of loading, and then things even out in the next 48 hours. So this is stent thrombosis within 48 hours, a significant reduction, 0.0008, 0.8 versus 0.5. So a good benefit. And overall, the total event rate was significantly less. The number needed to treat is 84. So you can have different subset of patients. You may have a stable angina patient actually taken who is on aspirin, and you have taken him on the table for an angio, and now the relatives say, please do the plasty immediately just now. You don't want to come later on. So then without a P2Y12 on board, one would, and if you're doing a high-risk plasty, we would start this drug instead of waiting for the oral form to give the benefit. Now again, this is, as I said, stable angina and STEMI, all 3 subgroups should benefit in this. And so the thing here is even the females should benefit. Now, you see, in the previous trials, of course, this is not highlighted much, but in the previous trials of antiplatelets and 2B3 antagonists, it was said that the females don't respond to the drug as much as the males. But here with cangrelor, if you see here, in fact, they respond as good as the male or slightly better, I would say, than the males. So this is it. And secondly, diabetic, non-diabetic, insulin dependent, and so on, they all responded very well to this drug. These are all the subset analysis which showed benefit when you use this drug. When you use this drug upfront as per the Phoenix protocol. Now this is a meta-analysis which was published by Greg Stowe and others. So here, if you see here again, when cangrelor was used, so this is meta-analysis of almost 25,000 patients. Again, the death, MI, IDR, and ST stent thrombosis was significantly less. Stent thrombosis particularly less. The MIs were less. So Q-wave MIs also were less. So all the parameters did show, except death, all the other parameters did show that there was significant reduction. So this is again the subset analysis of these studies. And so again, 48 hours and 30-day event rate benefits. If you see here, p-value everywhere, death, stent thrombosis, IDR, MI. So once 48 hours is less, then the 30-day endpoints also indirectly become less, and the benefits are given to the patient. Now, intra-procedural stent thrombosis, very important. So this, of course, nowadays, with all the second generation stents and the protocols which we follow of loading with TICA or prasugrel, the intraprocedural stent thrombosis is less. But still, it is seen, especially in patients where either the drug has not had enough time to reach its antiplatelet activity, or the patient cannot take it orally. Cardiogenic shock patients, absorption is less. If you give morphine or other drugs, narcotics, then the absorption is less. Patient is vomiting, a patient is on ventilator. So very such situations where the drug is not effective. There, this intra-procedural stent on the table, you put in a stent, immediate result is good. You take a picture after 10 minutes and you'll see thrombus sitting on the stent. That is IPST, and that was significantly less in the Phoenix trial. And therefore, it's a very good drug for that kind of situations where you feel either the drug may not be orally effective or there is not much of time. Here again, reduction in IPST, if you see a 0.04 assessed by, and these were more than 10,000 patients by a blinded core lab. So to make out these small differences, it takes a large trial. So this is 30-day stent thrombosis events, which was, again, as I said, less. So where IPST is decreased, there again, the 30-day also is decreased. So 3.4 versus 0.3 and 2.5 versus 0.5. So when the Champion PCI and the platform was published, they didn't get the USFD approval. But when the Champion Phoenix was published in 2013, where it was shown that in such subset where the time for antiplatelet activity is not sufficient, and if you randomize these patients giving placebo versus cangrelor plus aspirin, then there is good benefit in terms of event rates, and therefore this was given. Now, what about TICA? So this is, so all the Champion series was versus clopidogrel. And now in Cantic study, what they did is that they used the newer generation P2Y12, that is ticagrelor. And so ticagrelor also is from the cangrelor group, which is both are directly acting, and there is no prodrug involved in that. So this TICA was given actually along with cangrelor and was compared versus placebo. And then the various antiplatelet activities at 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, end of PCI, 2 hours were taken. And here it was found that when you use cangrelor plus ticagrelor, the antiplatelet activity is seen is within 5 minutes, immediate, and is sustained. And then when you switch over to TICA, when the effect of TICA sets in orally, therefore the benefit is quite significant. So cangrelor is an effective strategy to bridge the gap in platelet inhibition associated with the use of oral P2Y12 induced by TICA. TICA can be administered as a crushed formulation, and there is no drug-drug interaction, as you see in clopidogrel, as I was saying earlier. And Cangri and TICA combination offers more than 90% platelet inhibition within 5 minutes, and effect is maintained for 3 long hours, whereas monotherapy TICA requires 3 hours for the same efficacy. So an ideal combination to administer this therapy or this regimen in the cath lab for patients going in for intervention. Now, this was another, as I said, that when you compare the effects of Cangri versus 2B3 antagonist, then you will see that the platelet inhibition is quite good, but the bleeding is quite high. Major bleeding, requiring transfusions, vascular complications, they were even in the Champion Phoenix subset analysis, where clopidogrel plus placebo was used versus Cangridol and clopidogrel. So in some of these patients where placebo was used, they had used 2B3 antagonist. And that slide somehow got missed. But so when clopidogrel was combined with 2B3 antagonist versus Cangridol followed by clopidogrel, the bleeding was higher when 2B3 antagonist was used. The stent thrombosis was also higher. So both the ischemic events and the bleeding events were higher in that subgroup analysis. So therefore, this would be a better combination of using Cangridol followed by clopidogrel or Cangridol and Tika versus using a 2B3 antagonist. So these are the lower rates of bleeding complications or transfusions or vascular complications when you use Cangridol versus this. Now, there is another third thing about Cangridol which can be used is as a bridge. Now, it is bridge to surgery. Or suppose if the patient is on dual antiplatelet and has been stented, there is a complex stenting done within 3 months, 6 months, and now there is a major surgery, spine surgery or intracerebral surgery or a major surgery about malignancy or something, where the surgeon wants you to stop the 2B3 antagonist. What do? You know that aspirin clopidogrel will take 5 to 7 days for its effect to go away. And then the surgeon will say, I will operate after 7 days. So between 3 days to 7 days when the antiplatelet activity is not there or is less, there is chance of stent thrombosis and the patient getting an MI and risk to death. So what do you do there? So you stop the drug. Then on the 3rd day, you start Cangridol and continue Cangridol till 6 hours prior to surgery. As we said, the offset is 60 minutes. So at the most, you may wait till 3 to 6 hours and then let the surgeon operate without any P2Y12 on board. So that is a bridge to surgery. And this is how there was a study on this where such protocol was used and patients, the drug was discontinued 1 to 6 hours. This was prior to CABG. Now this generally happens in NSTEMI patients, So whenever NSTEMI patients are there, you are taking the patient for an angio, and because of the multiple risk factors or multiple ischemic events in the past, you think this is multivessel disease and likely to go for surgery, especially associated with LV dysfunction and other high-risk parameters for PCI. Then you don't give P2Y12 loading. Take the patient on Cangridol on the cath lab. If he goes for surgery, continue Cangridol till 6 hours before the surgery and let the patient go so that he can be taken in quickly. He did not wait for 5 to 7 days of stopping P2Y12 and then go for CABG and taking the risk in between to get an MI. So that is one classic indication where you can take this patients on Cangridol for surgery. So this is just during the bridge, the bleeding rates were not high. And so these are the various surgeries where the patient can undergo with the bridge therapy. And so now this is possibly my last slide. and would like to revise whatever we have discussed to show you what could be the indication of such an IV parenteral therapy, which is fast onset and fast offset. So as we said during both the sessions, whenever you want fast action, say for example, a STEMI patient, say for example, that an STEMI patient or a stable angina patient you have taken on the table and now immediately ad hoc you are going for plasty without the patient being on P2Y12. So such areas or such situations where you want faster onset of P2Y12 and or else the P2Y12 orally given may not be as effective, you give this drug IV, follow the regimen, bolus, infusion. After stopping, give clopidogrel. If you want to use Tika, you can give it during infusion also, but clopidogrel and prasugrel after the infusion is stopped after say 2 hours, and then give it and then follow it up. So you get the benefit in the patient. You have a patient who is clopidogrel resistant. Say for example, you have given aspirin, clopidogrel, and the patient comes with stent thrombosis within 48, 72 hours or 7 days. High chance of this being clopidogrel resistant. You give him this drug, take him again for re-intervention, establish the flow, and then possibly switch over to Tika or prasugrel. Bridge to bypass or non-bypass surgeries, where the surgeon wants you to stop the P2Y12 and aspirin. Then 2B3 antagonist for bleeding is a major concern. I would not say cost here, especially in India. Maybe both the drugs are equally expensive, both Cangrelor and 2B3 antagonist. I would say I'm not talking of Riopro. The commonest one used is tirofiban. So would not say much about cost, but yes, bleeding is an advantage with Cangrelor, and therefore should be preferred when you want such antithrombotic fast. Benefits are sustained up to 30 days. In high-risk cases, as I said, cardiogenic shock, left main, bifurcation, double two-stent strategy in bifurcation, long overlapping stents. So such kind of patients, sick patients where absorption is delayed, where you think the possibility of intraprocedural stent thrombosis is high. So all these situations one would. The other situation also, I would say, that suppose you get a patient NSTEMI or even STEMI for that matter. Nowadays, especially in this COVID pandemic, you get classical features of STEMI and you take the patient on the table, the angio is normal. Why did we unnecessarily load the patient then and take the chance of bleeding? So in such situations where you feel that you're not sure whether the angio will reveal something positive or not, either in an NSTEMI or a STEMI patient, just give IV Cangrelor, take the patient on the table with angio, and then if it doesn't require any intervention and it's a normal coronary, stop it and give the patient without antiplatelet treatment and then let him go. Or else, if you have to do a procedure, continue Cangrelor and then followed by P2Y12 drugs. So that would be also another indication where you don't want to give 6 tablets of prasugrel or 2 tablets of Tika and unnecessarily take, especially in high bleeding risk patients. You know, CKD with anemia, high bleeding risk. Patient has undergone chemotherapy recently, another high bleeding risk. So many situations, especially in India when we have this COVID, dengue, malaria with patients with low platelet count coming with acute coronary syndrome, and you're not sure whether to load them and take the chance of bleeding or not. Now, at the same time, one more caveat I would like to say is this is not a drug to be given with thrombolysis or following thrombolysis. So many of our STEMI patients, majority get thrombolysis. And we usually give aspirin clopidogrel to these patients, along with thrombolysis, streptokinase being another molecule which is more commonly used where the bleeding risk is high. So instead of giving clopidogrel, don't give IV Cangriror to this patient. This drug is not meant to be given with or following thrombolysis. This is for non-thrombolysis patients. That is one. Rarely you may have a situation where followed by Cangriror, the patient on the second, third day has some thrombotic event, and you, despite giving P2Y12, you may use GPI, 2B3 antagonist. But otherwise, both are not combined. So very uncommon situations. And the last thing I would say is that please keep this drug in the emergency department. No point in keeping it in the ICU, no, from the emergency department to the ICU or to the cath lab, another 45 minutes, 1 hour. Keep it in the casualty. As soon as the patient comes in, you have diagnosed ACS, you want to take him on the table, or you want to give him antithrombotic without any thrombolysis, you can immediately give this drug and give the benefit. So I think with this, I will end my lecture and stop sharing, and we can have discussion and questions. Any points which we have missed or any comments?
Yeah, I think, Dr. V.T. Shah has covered up practically, all the points very lucidly, inch by inch, every aspect. But Nitin, just see the questions and we will have interactive session.
Yes.
But I personally, I think, we have covered up most of the very, very relevant issues of using this molecule. Yeah.
In fact, sir, the last slide which Dr. Shah has already shared about that, who can be the most benefited patient, particularly about Cangriror. This is the question which asked by many of the clinicians. So would you like to add something more about this thing, sir, please?
No, I think, just to re-emphasize, which Dr. V.T. Shah has already mentioned, the one of the way I can say, Nitin, you have to send this presentation to all the participants. That is one, all the delegates, because it is not just one time just answering a query, but to keep in there, they have to keep on seeing that at least few times, and then it becomes like an automatic area. Few very important area like what Dr. V.T. Shah mentioned now in the COVID situation currently, where DAPT unnecessarily loading, and if it's just a thrombotic case, this is like a cure, So you are like, angio may turn out to be only thrombotic, non-obstructive, and you are given a intravenous P2Y2, and you have cured the patient. That's one area where, is very, very important. In the sense, when you are expecting near normal angiogram and you are loading with a DAPT, that can be easily avoided by using this. So that's one important thing. And the other important thing, like many times, see, now we have ticagrelor, prasugrel to some extent is okay. Clopidogrel again has resistance or its efficacy is not that much. Even, see, the key is platelet inhibition in the quick time, like how we say thrombolysis in quick time. So also, here we need in quick time the platelet inhibition. Like a thrombolysis, rapid, fast, and quick. That's why, we are trying to give a bolus of, thrombolysis better than a drip. So also here, we want a platelet inhibitor, therefore this is, useful. Yeah. And as Dr. V.T. Shah rightly mentioned, GP2B3A, we are today, only on the bailout situation we normally use. And, with this drug on board, we will be more, safer because of its quick offset and the bleeding complication. GP2BA, we have to pay price for, though if efficacious in the acute situation, but you have to pay price as the bleeding part because these patients are sick, patients on, multiple lines, patients on, again bleeding at the sites of puncture, these, that, etc. Whereas here, the offset of action in 60 minutes, is the most one of the important. In fact, I would personally see, today, with the advent of this molecule, not a very costly affair, I would say, considering the acute intervention cost overall, I'm saying, in an ACS situation, particularly, even for that matter, STEMI, with this drug available, we must try to use all the other, APT after, knowing the anatomy, for that matter. Because, here, if after knowing the anatomy, and even if you start infusion or given a bolus there, or you continue the infusion, within a few minutes it's going to act. So it's not a major, problem that way. So that also possibly, I'm not saying in a very acute situation. Acute STEMI means already, we are going to load, and then we are going to puncture the artery, and then we're going to continue the drip like that. So this is the another area where we can, the venture on using these drugs. So I would say this is our thinking and our utility of this molecule should be more in our real world practice, but in acute situation, and knowing its, all the properties and all these large, the study, like, even the Phoenix study, then the Cantic with the ticagrelor, then, the bridge therapies. Another important area is the bridge therapy. As Dr. Vitisha rightly mentioned, very high risk ACS, we need not load at all, because if at all you are requiring the intervention, you have got intravenous immediately available. See, the whole, our issue, the problem what we had to face so far was because of the platelet inhibition. But you got a parental one injectable therapy, and I can get the platelet inhibition within few minutes. Nothing like, going ahead with the procedure. At the same time, the patient needs a very urgent surgery within 8 hours, 6 hours. So there is a provision of sending this patient within 6 hours. Even the bridge therapy also, to me, looks very, very, useful, because again, time and again, a huge problem for us, because in fact, in the waiting period, we have lost few patients, In fact, patient got acute stent situation, or patient got into an acute ischemic pathology because we are waiting for that platelet effect to go away. Though ticagrelor 3 days, prasugrel 7 days, clopidogrel about 5 days we wait. But still, with the availability of this, I would consider that, our approach to the therapy change. So I feel personally, now, the way we approach a case with the availability of this drug on board, I think relatively it becomes, very, very user-friendly, and it should be useful to the patient. What do you say, Viti, about
this? Exactly. Now, just a couple of more additional points to what you have said. The comparison with 2B3 antagonist. See, if you have bleeding on cangrelor, you stop the drug within 60 minutes, the effect is gone. Doesn't happen with 2B3A.
Exactly.
It will take 6 to 24 hours for the effect to go away. And even if the drug in the circulation goes away, the antiplatelet activity remains there. So you ask a cardiac surgeon or any surgeon, he is reluctant to take the patient on 2B3 antagonist. Happen with 2B3, very reluctant. So, but with cangrelor, then it would be much more safe, effective. So whenever in doubt, don't load the patient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With P2Y12.
So just to re-emphasize, Nitin, to the delegates, it's a quick action and quick offset. Means again, 60 minutes action goes away. So no bleeding or bleeding stops like that, So unlike the other drug, that's other, like a magic, I would say, is a magic bullet, I would say, because it should change your perception. And whenever, for the delegate particularly, one of the important, as Dr. Vitisha mentioned, important takeaway message, that don't load if you are in doubt, because you can take care of platelet inhibition with whatever little cost of the therapy with cangrelor is still worth it, I would say, that way. Because in an intervention procedure, our cost, say, of a stent or a cost of a all those hardwares, comparing to that a cost of a medication of this nature, I don't know exactly how much is the cost, maybe 12,000, 13,000, I don't know.
Yes,
but
it is 12,000 is the MRP.
Yeah, it is still worthwhile. It is still worthwhile. And plus you are always there to help, in a case wherever it is required. Yeah. When your volume or when your workload is more in the cath lab, you are always there to help cardiologists and all. So I would personally feel it is cost efficacious, because the advantage what it gives in a situation, like a successful procedure, as Dr. Vitisha mentioned, GP 2B3A action is going to continue to remain 24 hours or maybe longer period. Either we can send the patient for surgery, or we can stop bleeding by any means, except for whatever platelet transfusion. Whereas here is nothing, just stopping the drug is the antidote. So antidote of bleeding is just stopping, that itself is going to stop it. There are some reports of minor bleeding even after that, but they're all minor actually. And the drug side effects also hardly anything. At the most, I think some breathlessness or something like, what we get in other P2Y2, which is part of the adenosine effect or something like that, so possibly, or maybe some hypersensitive reaction. But I don't think otherwise. I mean, Dr. Vitisha himself might have used in few patients now, and many of our colleagues have used at least, few patients here and there. And I think, collective experience is going, favoring use of this molecule. Viti, your experience with this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you just have to tell the casualty medical officer to follow the protocol, and the bolus and the infusion as per weight chart is also provided in their literature. So it's very easy. And plus much more safe. You see, the risk of bleeding is much less. So when in doubt, patient is thinking over whether to do this or that and taking time. Just give this, load this and keep it. So you have given P2Y12 aspirin to the patient, and now it is the situation which will decide after the angio what is to be done.
And the other important, when in the context of the same question, even for any ICU people, or even for MD internist, or who has got an ICU or a nursing home, where you want to give a standing instruction in the casualty or as an ER, as Dr. Vitisha mentioned, simple, load aspirin, statin, and this one bolus of your Canreal, like antiplatelet. Otherwise, always they used to get whether I should load with aspirin, clopidogrel, or ticagrelor, like that, because sometimes patients are not willing for intervention. Then if you're given some other, again we have a problem. So considering that, it becomes a simple rule to apply in the ER or in our casualty. Even for whoever our delegates who own hospital or nursing home who want to get into this type of intervention area, this becomes easy. Yeah. So all in all, additional points, again, we have practically discussed every aspect. So the safety of that we already discussed. Using ticagrelor along with infusion is fine, but Clopi and Prasu should be at the end of the infusion.
In fact, sir, one question is related to this also. At what time ticagrelor should be administered along with the cangrelor?
That Dr.
So as far as tica is considered, you can give it during the infusion also. There is no issue. Clopidogrel and prasugrel are prodrugs. They have to be given after the infusion stops. That you have to be careful. Whereas with tica, you can give it together.
One more question related to heparin, sir, that one of the audience has asked that heparin should be co-administered or not?
Yeah, so during the intervention, we do give heparin. By and large, heparin is a choice. But if here in India, very rarely people use bivalirudin. In Western world, in USA and all, there are many centers which use bivalirudin. And along with bivalirudin, this would be an ideal agent to reduce the bleeding rates. But heparin can be used. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah. Maybe
majority of the centers used heparin in the trial.
Yeah.
One of the arm of this Champion Phoenix trial also, as you rightly mentioned, sir, that bivalirudin has been also co-administered along with that process.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Duoludine with cangrelor may be the probably the ideal combination, but I think heparin as such we are using regularly. Maybe we have to monitor our ACT and regularly depending upon the duration of procedure, etc. Yeah. So
one more question, sir. What is your opinion about cangrelor as a bailout drug? When we have not planned to use it, which situation it may help us to bail out?
That again,
No.
He already mentioned that, okay, fine.
It's a very interesting situation, and this situation is peculiar to India, not to the Western world where insurance is covering all the expenses. Our problem is where, and I have seen such situations, patient is in the casualty, he is given the option of PAMI versus thrombolysis. He says, I'll ask my relatives, my social workers, my general practitioners, and he's wasting time. What do? Right? You can't thrombolyze the patient because then you have to explain the risk of bleeding and take his consent. PAMI also, besides the consent, financial constraints and administrative problems. So this is worth exploring an option that if we give this aspirin and IV cangrelor, and start and keep it faster onset of action, at least patient will get some action done, right? And wait till he decides whether he goes for strepto or PAMI, thrombolysis or PAMI, and then do accordingly. So that should not be a problem according to me. In fact, it would be faster action of antithrombotic and maybe the results are better. Because in Champion Phoenix, it was shown that the MI, especially the anterior wall MI on cardiac MR was less damage than the one where placebo was given. So the amount of infarct or the area of infarct was less on the follow-up cardiac MRs at 2 months. So I think this should be a good strategy.
No, in fact, I agree with Vitisha. In fact, the earlier our editorials on this topic that acute MI is a platelet-related disease. So platelet reactivity and platelet inhibition is the key. In fact, when we were in the early part of practice, 30, 40 years ago, editorial, just give aspirin as an antiplatelet, and you give an antiplatelet, and then the artery gets flow and patient can be, get the result out of it. Now you have got a parenteral P2Y2, which is, inhibiting the platelet to such an extent, and then followed by, you are giving this additional DAPT, as Dr. Vitisha mentioned. In fact, the requirement of thrombolysis also may to some extent may go away, I'm not saying it is totally, in a situation where you are faced with like that. So
that we see, of course, many times in casualty where you have given antiplatelet and the HP segment resolution is seen just by loading dose.
That exactly I'm saying. Platelet action, how important these all, we understand only by looking at such patients actually. So if you got a parental P2Y2 have a quick action within few minutes, and getting all the thrombus lies there and the platelet activation going away, microcirculation improving, and then you are sustaining that, maybe 2 days, 3 days later, if patient wants procedure, we can think of at that time, something like that. So I would say platelet inhibition is the key. Even acute MI starts with a white thrombus, that is a platelet. Platelet getting activated, then getting, then the getting, your fibrin getting attracted, and then the fibrin thrombus, etc. See, it is not to defeat the purpose of a thrombolytic, I'm saying, but with the advent of P2Y2, we can have this type of concept. So in the past, the aspirin alone can, could be one of the important treatment for acute MI. When we didn't have all those, the DAPT, I distinctly remember, that article that just give aspirin. So they said, platelet-related disease, acute MI is a platelet-related. It starts with the platelet, and therefore take care in the early stage, you will be better off.
one more question. I think already the things has been cleared also that this is the ideal choice to use this patient, the naive patient to P2I12 inhibitor. But one question has came, sir, who is already on the P2I12 inhibitor? Can we use in this cangrelor on those patients?
No, so if the patient is on clopidogrel and has an event, there is a chance that this is a clopidogrel resistant patient.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that situation, you can use this P2Y12 and take the benefit of a definite action, followed by, of course, Tika or prasugrel. If the patient is already on Tika or prasugrel, then the chances of resistance is quite low, less than 1%.
Again, sir, one question, that is what are the benefits can be achieved with the bridge therapy? I think you have mentioned, sir.
No, benefit is plenty, Niti. That exactly. Bridge means, during that waiting period of whatever antiplatelet effect to go away. See, when patient on oral antiplatelet therapy, like I said, ticagrelor 3 days the effect remains, with the clopidogrel 5 days and prasugrel 7 days. And during that time, you are waiting, but the antiplatelet you have stopped. And if patient gets any acute ischemia or stent thrombosis, what you will do? You have to use drug platelet inhibitor like cangrelor, which are like injectable during that period, and just stop 6 hours before the surgery. So you will have to use for maybe 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, depending upon how long you are planning the thing. Understand? Yeah. So maybe ticagrelor, if you use maybe for 3 days, 4 days is enough, I think. Yeah. So it all depends on what antiplatelet you use, and then how many days of antiplatelet. And you see, bridge means it is to bridge. Otherwise, you would have given DAPT, but can't give because of its the problem. Now we are using injectable P2Y2, which is short acting, but at the same time taking care of the platelet inhibition, and within 6 hours you can do the surgery, like either bypass surgery or any other surgery. Understand? Yeah.
And the dose of bridge is less than the dose.
Yeah. That one thing.
In antithrombotic action.
Antithrombotic. We have to, there is no bolus there.
There is no bolus, and it is 25 micrograms instead of 40.
One more question related to this only, sir. That how long maximum can be given as a bridge therapy?
It all depends. I don't think, I don't know.
Not more than 5 to 7 days.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. Yeah. It doesn't become a very like a practical, it's like a hypothetical situation. We are bridging the time till the platelet effect it remains, and no platelet effect will remain beyond 7 days. So Tika 3, clopidogrel 5, prasugrel 7 days. So that means 3 days, 5 days, 7 days of bridge therapy is the therapy which is recommended. Beyond that, not on this particular principle, not on this platelet inhibition question. So 3 to 7 days we can say, depending upon you are talking about ticagrelor or clopidogrel or a prasugrel like that. So it's certainly not beyond 7 days.
So I think that with this, sir, we have almost covered all the questions which were reflecting on the chat box, sir.
Yeah.
So on behalf of my company, MSN Labs Private Limited, I would like to give my heartfelt thanks, gratitude, and respect to both our distinguished speakers for not only